revolutionary movements, particularly in the 1960s, independence movements against colonialism, but their lives, their own lives, were relatively free, so they could think in these terms and act in these terms. Okay. Right. Good. Any thoughts, questions about this? People act in social situations, they face moral choices, they're moral beings, and they make these decisions as supposedly essentially autonomous beings, and there's a certain indeterminacy of outcomes. So very focused on the individual. And of course what is peculiar and interesting about Beauvoir is that she, more than Sartre, much more than Sartre, sees the other side of the story, that women are actually, yes indeed, have this individual responsibility and are potentially autonomous, but they are also trapped in an iron cage of male domination. Okay. Neil.
The last one you said, they're created beings with life.
Well, the idea is that human beings should think about their life as a project, not just moving as mechanically from one decision to the next, but one should think about one's life as a project, like that Calvinist thinks about the life project. So what the project is entirely up to the individual, but there should be a sense in which the choices one makes on a day-to-day basis connect to a vision. Got it. Yes. Well, perhaps we could actually, there is a passage here at the very end which sort of expresses that. Page 34. 34. Yes, 34, the last paragraph on 34, she writes, in particular, those who are condemned to stagnation are often pronounced happy on the pretext that happiness consists in being at rest. So she's saying that happiness is not an important value for her. It is a matter to what extent people, in a sense, fulfill themselves, have these life projects. And many people can be happy in a very stagnant life that is bereft of meaning and so on. So, he continues, this notion we reject, for our perspective is that of the existentialist ethics. Every subject plays his part as such specifically through exploits or projects that serve as a mode of transcendence. Transcendence means really liberation, freedom. He achieves, I don't know why it's he, but anyway, he achieves probably, there's a whole story, I won't go into that. He achieves liberty only through a continual reaching out toward other liberties. That one liberty leads to another. You don't stop, you're not satisfied, you're never satisfied. There is no justification for present existence other than its expansion into an indefinitely open future. Every time transcendence, that is transcending the immanence of being trapped, transcending one's situation, every time transcendence falls back into immanence, stagnation, there is a degradation of existence into the en soi, the brutish life of subjection to given conditions, and of liberty into constraint and contingence. So once we lose control and focus on the life project, we retreat back into constraint and contingence, the brutish life of subjection. This downfall represents a moral fault if the individual consents to it. If the individual actively consents to retreating away from these life projects, if women accept their subordination, they are doomed to this brutish life of subjection, she says. If it is inflicted upon them, it spells frustration and oppression. So if they consent, it's no good. And if it is inflicted upon them, that spells frustration and oppression. In both cases, this is an absolute evil. Every individual concerned to justify his existence feels that his existence involves an undefined need to transcend himself to engage in a freely chosen project. All those hymns should be hymns and hers or hers. Every individual concerned to justify her existence feels that her existence involves an undefined need to transcend herself to engage in freely chosen projects. It is incumbent upon us, if we are to be truly human, to actually continually imagine how we can liberate ourselves, can fulfill our potentialities in these life projects, and that we should continually strive to do so. Okay, that is the idea here. So, I'm going to draw you a picture of how I see de Beauvoir's, and I think it's also Sartre's, vision of domination. And I'm going to specifically refer to male domination, and perhaps next time we'll get to race. And let's see if has anybody read these pages? That's good, Aman. Very good. Good. Anybody apart from the front rows here? Anybody at the back read these pages? Juliana going further back. Anybody else? Andy, that's great. Well, we've got 6 people 7. Erica, terrific. All right. You see, if this were part of your life project, sociology were part of your life project, you would be so engaged with these pages. All right, good. I know it's a tough time of the year. You just finished. How was that midterm? Well, how was that midterm, Conrad?
It was a life project.
It was a life project. Yeah, it's ongoing, huh?
Yes.
What's ongoing? What's left unresolved?
My sleep.
My sleep? Oh, that's sad. Sleep. Any other thoughts about the midterm as a life project? Yes, Anders.
I like the next time. There won't be. Should have gotten the midterm 1 week later, bringing in 1 week later.
Why?
Because then we have more time.
I gave you 3 weeks. You could have answered the 2 questions 2 weeks ago. You just left it to the last minute, Anders. No?
I would say so. Like we.
Do you want to rewrite it again? And I'll give you. But do in a week.
No thanks.
No thanks. You really thought you were pressured at the end. You couldn't assimilate all the material.
I thought we got the last part of the information. Did not early enough. Really digested.
What was the last part of the information?
The last lecture.
The last lecture on what? Faber, yeah, I know, but what was it? Oh, the comparisons. Oh, that should be automatic in your mind at this point. You don't need me for that. Oh, the comparisons or the legitimacy? I don't know. I think that was question number 1 you could have easily answered long ago, weeks ago. Question 3 you could have answered weeks ago. So you only had the 2 or 1 part of question 2 that was the last lecture. I don't know. I don't feel guilty at all. Part of my... Yeah. Any other thoughts about this? No? All right. Let's go. We are going to draw a picture here. And I'm going to, big picture, I think. It doesn't have to be a big picture, but, I'm into big pictures today. Okay. Actually, no, it won't be a big picture. Can everybody see this board? Yeah? Okay. So, this is how it goes. Let's see if we can do this together. Come on. I know it's hot, you're worn out, you've had so many midterms, and, there's only 3 weeks to go, and it was already a sacrifice just to come here. Yes. Okay. There we go. What is that? Very good. I think I'm going to, have it on 2 boards. Yes, let's make it big. This is, no. Okay, there's a male. Oh my goodness, yes. Right. Then. What's this? Oh no, that's female. That's where we begin. The question is, what is this relationship? Domination. That's what Beauvoir calls othering. That is how she understands othering. So what does othering mean when males other women? What does that mean? Anybody? Yep, Kristen?
Defining the other simply by the things that one is not.
Defining the other by what one is not. Yes. Are there any? Very good. Have you got any passages where she does this? Sorry? Well, who's this? Is it Jimmy Lou? Are you Sophie? Yeah, where? 22. Okay. 22, right. Okay, yes. Where on 22 would you like me to read? Yeah, very good. I want to start into the fresh new paragraph 2, 4, 6, 7 lines into it. And she. Oh no, and she is. Can you speak up so everybody can hear?
And she is simply what man decrees. Thus, she is called the sex, by which it meant that she appeared essentially to the male as a sexual being. For him, she is sex, absolute sex, no less. She is defined and differentiated with reference to man, and not he with reference to her. She is the incidental, the inessential as opposed to the essential. He is the subject, he is the absolute, she is the other.
Very good. Aaron, number 2. Why don't you read it out? Yes.
And she is essentially what man decrees. Thus she is called the sex, by which it meant that she appears essentially to the male as a sexual being. For him, she is sex, absolute sex, no less. She is defined and differentiated with reference to man, and not he with reference to her. She is the incidental, the inessential as opposed to the essential. He is the subject, he is the absolute, she is the other.
Very good. Okay, any other passages? Yes, Aaron.
Just the, on 23, the end of the second full paragraph.
He sets himself up.
I don't know how much is necessary for the paragraph.
Well, I was going to read to the last 2 lines.
Yes. The subject can be opposed only in being opposed. He sets himself up as the essential as opposed to the other, the inessential, the opposite.
Right, he sets. Things become clear on the contrary if we follow here. We find in consciousness itself a fundamental hostility toward every other consciousness. Subject can be posed only in being opposed. He, the subject, the man, sets himself up as the essential as opposed to the other, the inessential. The dominator is the essential, the absolute, and constitutes the other, the slave, the woman, the worker, as other, as sort of a tool of, as necessary for the constitution of the dominator. Yes, so we could look on page 21. Into the second new paragraph there, 2, 4, 6, 7 lines in, she says the terms masculine and feminine are used symmetrically only as a matter of form, as on legal papers. In actuality, the relation of the two sexes is not quite like that of two electrical poles, equivalent poles, for man represents both the positive and the neutral, the positive and the universal, as is indicated by the common use of, quote, man to designate human beings in general, whereas woman represents only the negative, defined by limiting criteria without reciprocity. There, women are the inessential other that help men define whom he is. Yes. Okay, and then one could say on 23, at the bottom of the page, one can, 2, 4, 6 lines on the bottom, 2 words from the right. She says, as a matter of fact, wars, festivals, trading, treaties and contexts among tribes, nations and classes tend to deprive the concept other of its absolute sense and to make manifest its relativity. Willy-nilly, individuals and groups are forced to realize the reciprocity of their relations. How is it then that this reciprocity, and this is the point, has not been recognized between the sexes, that one of the contrasting terms is set up as a sole essential, denying any relativity in regard to its correlative, and defining the latter as pure otherness? Why is it that women do not dispute male sovereignty? So she says, why is it that we don't have a situation of mutual reciprocity between male and female as one would expect in a emancipated society? Why is it that man becomes sovereign and woman becomes other? Yes. Does this mean anything to you? Does this in any way resonate with anything in your lives? Neil, you're smiling at me.
Well, no, I was going to go back to, you were kind of mentioning a little bit, she does it to herself when talking about the transcendence and stuff, using the him or the he as like... Yeah,
I suspect that's probably the translator.
Well, even school your translator up on not using the things that you're... That's an example of other.
Yes, okay.
The generic is the he.
Yes.
And if you want to talk about anything woman-specific, then you actually use it, otherwise the default is...
The universal. Yeah. Right. The universal is the male. So that's what we see in so many texts, and certainly the old texts, sociology are a bit more careful now, but in the old texts, he stood for the universal, but it was he. Yeah. But in your lives, yes, Katie?
Well, it's sort of related to my life, I guess. I mean, I have several friends whose husbands are college students, and whenever they talk to me about my classes, they're always wistful about wanting to go back and finish their own degrees. I feel like I need to support him more.
So the idea that women supporting men who has the life projects in this world? The man has the life projects. Well, not always, but in the old days, with the times that she's talking about, definitely the men who had the life projects and the women existed as these supports. Whether it be simply, working in the home, domestic work, whether it be actually having a job where they brought in the money so that the male can actually continue with the PhD degree.
That's sort of what my brother and sister-in-law are doing right now. Working towards a PhD. She's become a teacher so that she can support them.
Anyway, I suspect there are all sorts of ways in which you can comprehend the idea of women being othered by men. All right, very good. All right, that is the othering. Now, what Beauvoir is suggesting here is that women are in a situation here, as particular situations of subjugation. So they're moving between a whole series of social situations. And what does she say about the situation of women in general? Well, on page 24, she says that women are not a minority. So here they are a majority. So it makes it even more puzzling that they should be othered. They should be subjugated. That's right. And she talks on 24 about the universalization, the universal character of female subordination. It was not something that happened at one particular moment in history, but has existed throughout history, she is arguing. And of course, a large section of this book is indeed precisely about the history of male domination. Yes. And then she talks about, what is it? What is her explanation? She says that women are different. And the subjugated group are different from racial groups, different from working class. It's a different form of domination, male domination. How does she characterize the specific character of male domination as opposed to racial domination, capitalist domination? How does she characterize it? What is specific to the social situation generally of women, Aaron?
They're not part of an organizable group. They're dispersed.
Excellent. Excellent. BB. Yes, they're dispersed. They are dispersed. Where does she say that on page 25? 25. Very good. The third line down in the new paragraph. Very good. Thank you. Why don't you read it out, Kristen?
They have no past, no history, no religion of their own. And they have no solidarity of work and interest as that of the proletariat. She was talking about proletariat.
Go on.
They are not even promiscuously written together in the way of creeds.